Have you ever felt completely invisible? Like the world is just rushing past and you're stuck in a storm with no shelter? This is a story about a man who felt just that. His name was Ethan, and on a grey, rainy afternoon, he was sitting on a park bench, completely drenched and utterly alone. Ethan hadn't spoken to a soul in days. The cold rain felt like 1,000 tiny needles, but honestly, it was better than the suffocating silence. He was just a ghost in a bustling city. He once had dreams, big ones, full of colour and life. Now, all he had were faded memories and the bitter taste of regret. Each person who hurried by, hidden under their umbrella, was just another reminder of the world he was no longer a part of. The city was a symphony of sounds, car horns, distant sirens, laughter, but for Ethan, it was all just noise, a soundtrack to his despair. He had hit rock bottom, and the only thing he knew for sure was that he couldn't fall any further. He closed his eyes, hoping to disappear. Just as he was about to give up, something small and white caught his eye, tumbling in a puddle near his worn-out shoes. It was a small envelope, soaked and stained by the muddy rainwater. He hesitated, then reached down with numb fingers and picked it up. The ink was bleeding, but he could just make out the words, "To the kind stranger who finds this, please deliver it." His first instinct was to toss it away. What did he care about a stranger's letter? He had enough problems of his own. But then something held him back. A flicker of curiosity? A whisper of purpose? He didn't know why, but he couldn't bring himself to let it go. He unfolded his stiff legs and began to walk, following the faint address written in pale blue ink. A long, uncertain journey into the storm. After what felt like an eternity of walking, with the rain still coming down, Ethan found himself standing in front of an old, weathered wooden door. His heart pounded in his chest. This was crazy. What was he even doing here? Taking a deep, shaky breath, he raised his hand and knocked. The door creaked open and a small, fragile-looking elderly woman peered out. Her eyes, though tired, were full of a gentle warmth. She looked at his drenched clothes and disheveled appearance not with fear, but with a quiet confusion. Is this yours?" Ethan mumbled, his voice hoarse from disuse, as he held out the soggy envelope. The woman took it, her hands trembling slightly. As she opened the letter, her expression shifted. Tears began to well up in her eyes and streamed down her wrinkled cheeks. "It's from my son," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. He passed away last month. This was his last letter." She looked up from the page, her gaze locking with Ethan's. He wrote that someone, sent by an angel, would find this letter and deliver it to me. Ethan stood there, frozen, speechless. An angel? Him? The rain on his skin suddenly felt different, less like needles and more like a cleansing. The old woman, whose name was Eleanor, didn't see a homeless man. She saw a messenger. She invited him inside, out of the relentless rain. The warmth of the small cottage was immediate, a cozy fire crackling in the hearth, chasing the chill from his bones. For the first time in what felt like years, Ethan ate a hot meal. It wasn't just the food that warmed him, it was the quiet, non-judgmental way Eleanor listened as his story poured out of him the job he lost, the family that drifted away, the hope that had completely evaporated. He spoke of his shame, his loneliness, and his despair. When he was finally finished, there was a peaceful silence. Eleanor smiled faintly, a look of profound understanding in her eyes. "You brought my son's last wish to me," she said softly. "You gave me a final gift from him. Now, let me give you something in return." She walked over to an old wooden desk, opened a drawer, and took out a small, tarnished key. This was his, she said, placing it in Ethan's palm. "Use it well." The key felt heavy in his hand, not just with its physical weight, but with the weight of this unexpected chance. Attached was a small tag with an address scrawled on it. He followed it to a rundown, abandoned garage at the edge of town. His heart was a mix of confusion and anticipation. He slid the key into the rusty lock, turned it, and pushed the heavy door open. Inside, covered by a dusty tarp, was an old motorbike. It was in pieces, a project half finished. Leaning against the handlebars was another note, written in the same handwriting as the letter. It read, "For whoever delivers this letter, this was my dream to rebuild. Now, make it yours." In that single, transformative moment, something deep inside Ethan's heart shifted. For years, he had felt cursed, abandoned by fate. But now, holding this key and staring at this unfinished dream, he felt something entirely new. He felt chosen. He felt a spark of purpose he thought was long extinguished. That day marked a new beginning. The garage became Ethan's sanctuary. He started with the bike. He cleaned it, studied it, and slowly, piece by piece, began to put it back together. It wasn't easy. He had to take on odd jobs sweeping floors, washing windows, anything to earn a few dollars for parts and tools. Every screw he tightened, every part he polished, felt like he was rebuilding himself, too. The rust he scrubbed off the bike felt like the despair he was scrubbing from his own soul. Months passed. The bike roared to life, and so did Ethan. With the money he saved, he didn't just leave. He stayed. He cleaned up the garage, hung a sign, and opened a small repair shop. He named it The Letter in the Rain. But he wasn't just fixing bikes. He started hiring other people from the streets, people who, like him, had been forgotten. He gave them food, a warm place to work, and more importantly, he gave them a chance. He'd look them in the eye and say, "I was where you are once." All it takes is one act of kindness to change everything. One sunny afternoon, Eleanor came to visit the shop. She stood by the entrance, a gentle smile on her face, as she watched Ethan patiently showing a young man how to fix an engine. The place was buzzing with activity, filled with the sounds of tools, laughter, and a sense of community. Ethan had not only rebuilt a motorcycle, he had built a family. He had built a haven of hope. Some people spend their lives waiting for miracles. Others, like Ethan, decide to become one. An insignificant letter, lost and found in a downpour, didn't just change one life. It started a ripple of kindness that changed many. It's a powerful reminder that you never know how one small, seemingly insignificant act of compassion can completely rewrite someone's destiny, and maybe even your own. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more stories that inspire. Remember, be the reason someone believes in the goodness of people. See you next time.